One man is injured, one man is dead, and not everyone wants to tell the truth. Are you ready to become the prosecution and get the accused charged with murder in the first degree? The premise of the game is that there was a murder at an art gallery. Zachary Barnes was found shot dead through the throat, and the accused, James Tobin, was found bloody and shot in the leg. James Tobin claims it was self-defense, and the wife of the deceased, Yvonne Barnes, claims he staged it to look that way. As you look through the evidence and ask questions, you try to figure out how to prove without a shadow of a doubt that this was a first-degree murder. But it won't be easy. It seems not everyone is telling the whole truth, and that there might be more to this case than initially seen. You know the accused killed the deceased, meaning that James Tobin not only killed Zachary Barnes on purpose, but he also planned to kill him beforehand. You must look through physical evidence, interviews, and talk to witnesses in order to better form your case. The thing that is so great about the game is the fact you can totally screw your case right before the trial by either asking the wrong questions, pressing too hard on witnesses, or not figuring out how to get more info out of them. After my initial playthrough of having mixed or weak sections to my case, I figured out what information I was missing and tried to go down different lines of questioning. Sometimes it would make the witnesses angry, just so I could see if they would reveal more information, but this often led to my lines of questioning being cut off prematurely. But sometimes I would find a long line of dialogue I missed the first time through, taking me by surprise. While recording, I went down a path of being a terrible lawyer, accusing witnesses of crimes, threatening them, and generally not digging too deep for information.
Did you get off on spying on Ruby for your boss?
You can go to hell. I never said I read the letter. I said I looked at it. Give me a break. You give me a break. I don't want to talk about the letter anymore.
When the trial started, I worked with witnesses who were pissed off and generally uncooperative. By the end, the defense called for this trial to be thrown out because I had provided little to no case against the accused. I felt horrible as I went down this path because I really had to try to be terrible for this to happen. But it felt so much better after I did that when I started up a new save game before the trial. I knew what my opening statement should have been, what topics to push a witness on, and I knew that I was missing something from previous playthroughs. The game rewards either smart evaluations of the evidence and witness personalities, or saving and loading if you screwed up a conversation. This comes down to personal preference, whether going through the entire case even when you don't know all the facts, just to see the outcome, or just wanting to do the very best this time through. What I loved from my few playthroughs was, depending on your opening statements and what you decide to emphasize, there might be different witnesses called to the stand. One playthrough, the defense called a doctor to talk about the injuries James Tobin had acquired during the shooting. On another, I had the defense call an examiner who emphasized that there was a struggle over the gun. But sometimes a combination of the opening statements and the information gained during the trial might exclude those witnesses, because after all, they were called up to make points for the defense's case with the information given so far. In between sections of the trial where the prosecution and defense are done with a witness, the outcomes of the cross-examination are nicely commented on. The game cuts away to a restaurant, locker room, or whatever, and shows a newscast on the TV commenting on how well they thought the prosecution did on getting relevant information.
Listening in rapt attention as Prosecutor Granger silenced his courtroom critics today with an exemplary performance. Observers in the gallery finally saw what they came for. The old Granger, the cunning legal master of work. With great skill, he got Mr. Lee to admit.
There are also some joke TV ads and news reports peppered in to add a little levity. One thing I found interesting was that they used some of the actual Bay Area Channel 2 news reporters for these segments. One of the news reporters, Frank Somerville, is an actual reporter who still works for the Channel 2 News in the San Francisco Bay Area. A nice touch to make a connection of this case to the real world.
Police are saying they answered a 911 call from Yvonne Barnes, the victim's wife. When they arrived at the scene, there were signs of a desperate struggle.
After the trial has ended and the jury has decided on the verdict, some of the characters will comment on how well you did. During the end credits, there will be a news report evaluating the case and basically tells you what you will need to have a more concrete case if you got lower than the first-degree murder charge. It was very helpful in telling me where I was missing information and where I faltered. Getting that feedback during and after the trial certainly helps on refining the case on subsequent playthroughs. Going through this game a few times, I realized that even if the gameplay was just gathering information and choosing the right dialogue, it was actually quite layered. Some of it was playing with the characters' emotions, in order for them to be more open to talking. One playthrough, the girlfriend of the accused, Ruby Garcia, is somber and will disclose quite a bit of information.
Because he died before I could. Jimmy said the only reason he was ever friends with me was so he could get in my pants. But he was never like that. He was so nice to me. So was Yvonne.
On another, if you piss her off before the trial, she will actively scoff, lie, and generally protect her accused boyfriend.
The least I can do is tell the truth. Yeah, right.
That will be enough, Ms. Garcia.
Simon Lee is an employee at the gallery and will be mostly looking out for himself. But if you make him feel guilty or trick him, he might talk. Otherwise, he'll try to be a brick wall, not giving away much of anything.
What kind of chewing gum is this?
I don't know. I don't remember which one has the blue pack.
It's Beeman's, Mr. Lee. Good old-fashioned brand. Now, you couldn't read the bold, oversized type on this package. How could you possibly read Smith & Wesson on a gun from across the room?
And that's another thing to be wary of. If you don't pick apart statements or ask certain questions, the defense might.
Isn't this notion that James Tobin somehow stole his own paintings first suggested to you by your husband?
Jack and I discussed it, yes.
Insurance records show that he would have received $200,000. Was he involved in stealing the paintings?
No.
The ideal position to be in is the one who knows what topics will be used for and against the accused, and being on top of it before the defense can pounce. Because when it comes down to the defense's cross-examination, the music that plays just freaks me out. It's unnerving to hear the defense try to break my case as this music plays, because it makes it seem like she knows exactly what to do, and that she will win.
Defense, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Did you ever see Mr. Tobin in possession of the gun that Zachary Barnes kept in his office?
No.
But I have to say that other than this music, most is poorly scored so that it conflicts and sometimes cancels out what characters are saying, and can also be kinda cheesy.
Listen, I just got some bad news. Turns out the gun used in the Barnes murder was registered to the deceased cousin, Daryl Barnes.
But not all of it. Some of the music does help to bring drama to the court case as characters recount their perspectives of the events. The good thing is you can turn off the ambient music if it gets to be too much. And when it comes down to the several characters in this game, I have to say I'm overall impressed. Most of them bring strong emotions and do a good job at acting. I mean, there are a few poor acting moments, and the actor who plays Simon Lee really plays him as a not very smart guy.
He says I took him? He's full of it.
Why did he say it?
How should I know?
But acting moments like this, with Inspector Looper and Ruby Garcia, just add a sense of humanity.
Listen, lady. Your friend was murdered this morning, and I'm trying to figure out what happened, and you are acting like a girl dog.
They won't let you say bitch.
Oh, my daughter made me promise to stop cussing.
Strict, huh?
Oh, she's a tyrant.
Plus I love when Inspector Looper later shows up in the trial, giving a nice callback to the beginning interviews.
Ranger, you gotta put me up there.
Remember last time Charleston cross-examined you? You broke into tears.
Oh, bull doo-doo.
What?
Yes, you made that up.
Personally, she's one of my favorite characters, even if she isn't in the game for long. When it came to Ruby Garcia, I think she had a broader range of emotions to work with. Sorrow, disdain, being defensive, finally remembering the past, regret, and quite a few more. She felt like a character who could really help your case, or be the defense's best friend. Yvonne Barnes, the wife of the deceased, felt like a complex role, as I kept feeling like she was withholding information from me, and would only cooperate if I was very clear about how important this trial was. She had some emotional scenes that I felt were believable for a woman who had just lost her husband and was in a position of power in the city.
He couldn't believe it. He laughed and said he was going to tell the mayor on me. He said, I didn't realize you were Sister 45.
Then, when it came to James Tobin, it could get to some gleefully cheesy outbursts, but I think he did his job well enough.
And that I thought that he was reaching for the gun.
I thought you had the gun.
Well, no. No, yes. No. Why are you trying to trap me? Can't you see that he's trying to trap me?
Overall, the cast did an excellent job working on this game, and I think it is some of the best acting I've seen in the full motion video game genre. I played the game using a virtual PC running Windows 98 because it wouldn't run on my computer running Windows 7 64-bit. Due to the fact I used system emulation, I'm not sure if the visual glitches that would sometimes appear around characters' heads were already there, or just a problem with the emulation. There were also moments where the audio was cut off and it went to the next part of the dialogue. I've had this issue with emulation before, so I would concede that on the audio side at least, that might have been emulation issues. Taking everything into account, I am impressed with this game. I only came to know of its existence because of a comment on my Make Your Case review. The YouTube user Gameplay Videos Without Commentary mentioned that Make Your Case had stolen scenes from In the First Degree, and after watching a little bit of Nintendo Complete's playthrough, I knew I had to check this game out. And when I got to the courtroom, I discovered he was right. The pictures of the courtroom and its people were repurposed for Make Your Case. I tried to make the connection between Broiderbund and Scholastic, but it didn't work out. I know that Make Your Case was released 3 years later in 1998 by the Foundation of the American Board of Trial Advocates. And from Wikipedia I learned that In the First Degree had help from, at the time, San Francisco Assistant District Attorney Al Gaini as a legal consultant during the scriptwriting and filming for more legal accuracy. Other than that, it can only be speculated at this point how and why these old scenes were repurposed. Besides that point, I now consider this game to be one of my favorite FMV games. As I played, I giddily messaged my friends on Facebook every time I saw something interesting or thought a bit of dialogue was funny. I kept updating them because there are not many games that I have played that are similar to this. Mostly good acting in an FMV game, a courtroom setting, dialogue that influenced different emotional paths, and this game came out in 1995? Considering my first FMV games around this time were The Seventh Guest and The Daedalus Encounter, this just blows them out of the water in terms of quality. It might not have as much gameplay as those games, but I think this one is a much more pleasant experience, especially since screwing up in this game will give you different dialogue. In the First Degree is a game I imagine can only be played a handful of times before seeing all you want to see or just getting tired of it. But I think that I will return to play it every once in a while, as I do with my other FMV games, just to relive the experience. And if what you've seen and heard has interested you, I suggest you try it out. As of this recording, I have seen In the First Degree being sold online for around $5. Thanks for watching. Any comments, likes, or dislikes on this video or any of my other videos would be appreciated. By clicking these annotations, you can check out my reviews for the courtroom teaching game Make Your Case and The Daedalus Encounter, a FMV game starring Tia Carrere, and if you watch the review, listen to how many times I mispronounce her name for some reason. Also, if you want to get in contact with me, message me on YouTube or Twitter.